In this video, we will be going over a review for Exam 1. Alright. Our first question says that the Wolverines football team gains 18 yards on the first play of a football game, then it loses 18 yards. Which combination of balloons and weights models the situation? So if I'm gaining 18 yards, remember from our workbooks, balloons represent a positive, and if I'm losing, our weights represent a negative. So if I'm gaining 18 and then I'm losing 18, I would want to have 18 balloons and 18 weights to represent my positive 18 and my negative 18. Here we want to match each situation that represents its opposite. Okay, so if I am earning $30, this 30 is going to be positive, which means I am looking for something that gives me a negative 30, talking about money. So if I look here, if I spend $30, that is me giving money away, so that would mean money that I don't have anymore, which would be negative. Our next one says that we are rising 30 feet. So if I am rising 30 feet, that is me going up 30 feet. So I need to look for a scenario that describes me going down 30 feet, which would be dropping. Okay, dropping is the opposite of rising. If I gain 5 pounds, the opposite of gaining 5 pounds would obviously be to lose 5 pounds. If I'm increasing 5 pounds, that is the same as gaining, right? Both of those are a positive number. All right. Riley earned $46 at her job, and then she spent $46 on groceries. Which equation represents this situation? Well, imagine Riley starting down here at 0, okay? Then she gains $46. When she goes to the grocery store and she has that 46, she gives all of it to her cashier to pay for her groceries, which means she is left with 0. So she has a positive 46 and a negative 46, and when she adds them together, she is left with 0. What is the sum of negative 53 plus negative 38? For these questions, please double check these into a calculator, okay? Especially on your exam. Don't make a silly mistake because you accidentally subtracted these, okay? And I have plus negative 38. You should get negative 91. So for problems like this, type it into a calculator to double check your sign and also your number. We want to know what two numbers are located exactly 3/5 units away from 3/5 on the number line. And we have these different number lines that we are shown. This one is a little bit tricky just because of the way that it is worded. Okay, my middle point here is not 0. My middle point here is going to be 3/5. So I need to find 3/5 on all of my number line. Okay. And when I find 3/5, I want to know what two numbers are located 3/5 units away from it. And here on my number line, each tick mark represents 1/5. Okay. So if 3/5 is my middle point, I need to go 1/5, 2/5, 3/5 in one direction. This is my positive 3/5. And then I need to go back 1/5, 2/5, 3/5 to go back that 3/5. So I am looking for a number line that has a dot above this 0 here and a dot above 6/5, which is this one here. So this here is my positive 3/5, and this here is going to be my negative 3/5, both away from that center point, which is 3/5. Our next problem says if A is negative 1.25 and B is 4.75, what is A plus B? Okay, well, A is negative 1.25 and B is 4.75. So all I need to do is add these two numbers together. Again, here, type this into your calculator, okay? We don't want to make a silly mistake. Negative 1.25 plus 4.75. With our decimals here, okay, double check, make sure that you get 3.5 as well. All right. Our next one says that Michelle has a pitcher filled with 16.5 ounces of lemonade, and she pours 8.4 ounces into a glass for herself. We want to write an addition equation that represents the amount of lemonade left in her pitcher. Okay, well, she starts with this 16.5 ounces, so that is how much she has. Here, I need to write an addition equation, which means I need to have a plus sign. Okay, and then when she is pouring this 8.4 ounces, if she's pouring, that is lemonade that she is losing from her glass, right? When you pour yourself a glass of lemonade, the amount you have left over is less, so this 8.4 is going to be negative. And then the last thing that we need to do here is figure out, well, what does this equal? And again, type it into a calculator. Okay, so 16.5 plus negative 8.4. When I type that in, I get 8.1. So this whole equation is what you would want to type in for your answers. You should have 2 decimals, don't forget your plus sign, and you should also know what it equals. Our next question here says that a pool gained 15 gallons of water on Friday due to rain. How could the owner of the pool bring the water level back down to its previous level? Select 3 that apply. Okay, so here this pool gained 15 gallons and the owner of this pool wants it to go back to what it was before, which means he needs to get 15 gallons out of that pool. So we are selecting any of the options that describe 15 gallons of water leaving the pool. So A says to increase the amount by 15. That's not getting rid of any. B says add 15 gallons with the hose. Again, don't want to pick that one. C says let her kids play in the pool and splash out 15 gallons of water. That works because 15 gallons of water are leaving. D says let 15 gallons of water evaporate. That works. Evaporation is where you have your water and it evaporates. It turns into like little molecules into the air, so we're losing water. That works. E says fill 15 old milk gallons with water and dump them into the pool. We do not want to do that. That's adding water. And F says drain 15 gallons of water from the pool. Absolutely. So on this one here, we're told to select 3, and I have chosen my 3. Next is, what is the sum of negative 38 and 9? Whenever you see the word sum represents addition. So what this is asking me here is, well, what is 38 plus 9? And we can double check this by typing it into a calculator. When I do that, I get negative 29. So the sum of negative 38 and 9 is going to be negative 29. Solve 25 minus 6 plus 12. And notice how that 6 plus 12 is in the parentheses. For this one here, remember our order of operations, or PEMDAS, right? We want to do parentheses first. So I need to add these two numbers, 25 minus, that doesn't change, 6 plus 12 is 18. 25 minus 18 is going to give me 7. Okay, and if you want to, you can absolutely double check this into a calculator, but you need to make sure that it looks exactly like this one here with order and parentheses and everything. Okay, so make sure it looks exactly the same. Do not forget those parentheses, and you can double check it to see that it is 7. We want to take the subtraction problem and rewrite it as an addition problem. Remember that when you are rewriting something as an addition problem, the only thing that you are changing, nothing changes, you are only adding your plus sign, and your plus sign goes directly after your first number and right in front of that subtraction sign. Okay, so when I add it, I should get 7 over 8 plus negative 1 over 7. Okay, if you look here, I have 1, 2, 3 parts in my first one, and in my final answer, I have this 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm only adding this plus sign. Find the difference in the simplest form. All right, so I have 5 over 7 minus 4 over 14. Since I have fractions here, I'm going to type this in to save me a little bit of time. 5 over 7 minus 4 over 14, and I get this long decimal, but I can convert it to a fraction by clicking this this button, and it tells me that it is 3/7. Whoops. So 3 over 7 would be my final answer here. Gilly purchases 1.9 pounds of apples, and at the checkout she realizes her apple pie recipe actually calls for 4.1 pounds of apples. How many more pounds of apples does Gilly need to purchase? Okay, well, she only has 1.9 and she needs 4.1, right? So all I need to do is subtract those two numbers to figure out how much she still needs to buy. So 4.1 minus 1.9, and you will see I get 2.2. Notice how I'm using a calculator for a lot of these problems to double check my work, especially with fractions and decimals. I encourage you to do the same. Okay, using a calculator is not cheating. I encourage it. You see me using it all the time. Our next one wants to know which equation correctly applies the associative property. Associative property, remember, is adding or moving parentheses, and the order of your number does not change. Also, notice here we are using addition. So these ones down here that have the subtraction, nope. This one here that has multiplication, nope. And then after that it gets quite easy because this is the only answer choice that has parentheses, and those parentheses are shifting. They go from being on the last two numbers to being on the first two. We want to consider the following partial solution, okay, and we want to know which properties of addition does this actually use. Okay, and remember our two different properties are commutative and associative. Commutative is changing the order of the numbers, and associative is adding parentheses. So if I look here, when I go from this first step down here to the second step, the order of my numbers is changing. So this is me using the commutative. However, when I go from this second step to this third one, I am adding in this set of parentheses here. So that is me using the associative property. So with this equation and partial solution that I'm given, I'm actually using both the commutative and the associative properties. So I'm going to be using both of them. And then the last part wants to know, well, what does this actually equal? So I'm going to take this bottom equation here, type that into my calculator to find out. And this calculator that I'm using is Desmos. Okay, if you want to use it as well but don't know how to get to it, all you need to do is go to this desmos.com/scientific and it will take you there. Plus 2 over 5. Don't forget your parentheses, and then I have minus 1/2. When you guys are typing in equations like this, it is so important that you remember to type in what you were typing in here to make it look exactly to what it looks like on our problem. Okay? And it's going to give you a decimal, but remember you can change that to a fraction by hitting that button, and that will give us a 9 over 10. Okay, here we want to know which solution applies the associative and commutative properties of addition to correctly solve the equation. Okay, so here we have 5 answer choices, so that's a lot. So let's start looking through and see if we can cross off any of them right off the bat. Notice that I want to apply both properties, so associative and commutative, which means I need to 1, add parentheses, and I need to 2, move my numbers around on separate steps. Okay, I should have 3 total steps here that I'm doing to get to my final answer. If I look at this second one here, there are no parentheses anywhere. I just have this first one, this first set of decimals, and this second set. Okay, there's no parentheses, so this B is out because it's not using my associative property. Down here, these last two, I do have parentheses being added, but none of my numbers are being changed, and so I'm not using that commutative. So these two are going to be out. So I'm left with A and C here. And if I look carefully at both of these, all of the numbers and all of the parentheses, they are all in the same exact spot for both of them. The only thing that is different are these two final answers at the end. So the only thing that we need to do here is add one of these together and see which final answer we get. Is it the 7.1 or is it the 20.3? So I'm going to just type in this first part here, 16.1 plus 12.1 minus 6.6. And when I type all of these in, I get a final answer of 7.1, which means that the correct answer here is going to be the one that equals 7.1. Alrighty, we have the following expression, negative 7.8 minus 3.2, and we want to know which expression measures the distance between the same two numbers as the given expression. Okay, and B is asking us, well, what is the distance between these two numbers? And we want to select the two answers, one for part A and one for part B. Okay, so to figure out which expression correctly measures the distance between these two numbers, remember that when you have your distance formula, which is A minus B, okay, this minus sign in between them is not attached to your B, okay? B can be positive and we can still have this minus sign. The subtraction sign is literally just the subtraction sign. So I'm going to do this and write it underneath it to kind of help us group our numbers a little bit better, okay? And when I'm grouping my numbers here, I have this A, which is 7.8. I have my minus signs in the middle, and then I have B, which is 3.2. So A is negative 7.8, and B is going to be positive 3.2. Remember that subtraction sign in the middle is not attached to that final number. So when we're looking at these four options for which one is equivalent, okay, I need to look for a positive 3.2 and a negative 7.8. So negative 3.2, this doesn't even have that subtraction in the middle. This 7.8 and 3.2 are the wrong signs. So this one here is my correct answer. 3.2 is positive, and 7.8 has this additional negative, which makes my final answer for that negative 7.8 negative as well. Okay. And then B wants to know, well, what is the distance between these two numbers? So to do that, I can just type it into a calculator. And remember that when you're typing this in, do not forget your absolute value sign. Okay, hit this little A button with your bars to get your absolute value sign. I'm going to type in the original expression that they gave us at the top. And with those absolute value signs, I get a positive 11. Positive 11. All right, and that is all I have for your exam 1. Don't forget that you can use this recording while you are taking the exam. That is fine. Don't forget to use that calculator. If you take the exam and would like another attempt, it is no big deal. Just send me a message or an email and we will get that second attempt for you. If you have other questions, let me know. Other than that, have a wonderful rest of your day.